There was one individual, a 48-year-old Mark Waterston, who was struck by lightning. Now, they say that he had one of these, a cell phone in his pocket, and that may have attracted the lightning. He fortunately is doing well. He's in the hospital. He didn't want to talk on camera, but the combination of the cell phone and this spring storm with the thunder and lightning nearly proved deadly. You're looking at what's left of the antenna on Mark Waterston's Jeep. That's where it appears the lightning first hit. It then branched out and struck Waterston.
And saw a vehicle and heard a woman screaming and saw a man lying on the ground.
Kregg Hanson's the one who called 911. He lives at this home, which is just a couple of hundred yards from where the lightning struck.
When I got to the scene, the wife thought he'd been shot. She actually thought someone had shot him and was wondering where he'd been hit. And I'd seen the lightning bolt, so I knew what it was. And at that point, he was unconscious, was totally purple, and his wife was hysterical. First thing I did was get some blankets, get him covered up.
Waterston regained consciousness and was taken to a nearby hospital. Dr. David Justis treated him.
He said his shoes got blown off, and then he had burns through that corresponded to the burns on his feet. The burns went right through the cotton, charred the cotton.
A spring snowstorm batters the Midwest, and among the amazing stories and pictures to come out of this storm is that 4 News and Health and Medical reporter talked to a man hit by lightning and lived to tell about it.
This is amazing that he is alive to talk about this today because he survived a lightning strike yesterday here in the Twin Cities. Amazing, first of all, that there was lightning this time of year, and secondly, that he is just fine.
1 minute I'm standing up, the next minute there was such a loud bang, I thought that I was actually shot. These are the socks that I was wearing, and this hole right here came from the inside out. I was wearing these socks, and this hole was blowing in here as I was wearing them.
Less than 24 hours after lightning struck Mark Waterston in Prior Lake, he's back to work at his business. Ironically enough, a funeral home and cremation society. Yesterday afternoon, he was just getting back into his car with his wife when the deafening blow struck. Mark was knocked off his feet. Doctors believe the lightning didn't strike him first.
The lightning more than likely struck the car. And most of the energy got transmitted through the car, and what he then caught was a splash.
There was speculation yesterday that because he was carrying a cell phone in his pocket, it made him more of a target. Doctors say probably not.
It's too small of an electrical device, and the amount of electricity in it is too small to change the magnetic field around us.
Waterston spent the night at Fairview Southdale, where they monitored his heart and gave him lots of fluids. They released him this morning.
I just feel fine. You know, I feel real good. I have no problems at all.
Dr. Lostrader, who is an expert on lightning, says there can be long-term health effects. Hearing loss can occur, and cataracts can also develop at an earlier age. But all in all, Mark Waterston is a very lucky guy.
And the doctor told him to
buy a lottery ticket. They said, with that kind of luck, buy one.
Mark Waterston is back at home in Edina, walking around like nothing happened.
This is where the lightning went into my body.
And Mark Waterston now has a pair of scorched socks that show where the lightning went out.
And all of a sudden, I'm doubling over, and I'm falling to the ground. And I literally thought I was shot. I told my wife, I says, I have been shot.
I didn't see blood. I didn't see anything. And all of a sudden, he was just laying, he was just down on the ground.
The two had pulled over for a moment here at this wooded area while out looking through the parade of homes for remodeling ideas. Barbara was inside the car when lightning struck it. Mark was just outside, and he says his rubber soles may have saved him.
And it literally fried the antenna right off of the car, and it burned the little plastic molding around the antenna. But it took this antenna and just melted it right in half.
Waterston says he long ago accepted the fact that life could end unexpectedly at any moment. He would know that because this is his business. He owns a funeral home.
Being in the funeral business, I'm kind of a realist on life. And you see a lot of people that one day they're alive and well, and the next day they're dead. And you see it all the time for whatever reason. And for whatever reason, it just wasn't my turn to be dead, I think.
At the age of 47, Waterston doesn't smoke, doesn't drink, and doctors told him his heart is in great shape, even after the lightning bolt. He hopes people stop making such a fuss about this.
I want people to know that I'm fine, and everything's fine. It was kind of like it never happened.
Like it never happened. Everyone's telling him he's obviously so good at beating the odds, he should go right out and buy a lottery ticket. But then he says, what are the odds of that? Being struck by lightning and winning the lottery in the same week? Kind of see his point.
He should just go for it. So he just suffered some minor burns, that was really it?
Yeah, it doesn't look like he took a direct hit. He apparently got what they call a lightning splash. The bolt actually hit the car and jumped onto him, but he's just got a few third-degree burns on the sides of his feet, and as you saw, he's already able to stand and walk on them.
Now, some of the weirdest things about this storm were the thunder and lightning that came with it.
And because of them, 48-year-old Mark Waterston of Edina has quite a story to tell today. He was hit by lightning as the first real heavy snow moved through yesterday. And as Carol 11's Carolyn Mungo reports, he's got a pair of roasted, toasted socks to prove it.
I had no idea what had happened. It just, boom, happened.
Mark Waterston doesn't remember much about yesterday afternoon. He was driving with his wife through a new Prior Lake subdivision when he decided to step out of his Jeep Cherokee just to look around.
And all of a sudden, I heard this big blast, and having been a hunter, it sounded like a shotgun went off right next to me.
But it was lightning that had struck his car. It then splashed a powerful volt through his body. Just look at his socks.
You know, that's probably the most amazing thing, is to think that that much electricity went through you to take and to and you burned a hole in something this big, and you burned it from the inside of your body going out.
Mark's rubber-soled shoes likely saved him from being electrocuted. He has slight burns on his feet and his wrist. He was rushed to Fairview Southdale last night, but he didn't stay long.
At 9 o'clock in the morning, I was out of there. Those hospitals have the worst beds to sleep in.
Waterston's sense of humor is intact. Deep down, he's glad the rest of him is, too.
Everybody's telling me today to go out and buy lottery tickets. I don't buy lottery tickets. Maybe I should go on out and buy one, huh?
Carolyn Mungo, Carol 11 News.
Well, Waterston's Jeep still won't start. The spark apparently really did a number on its computer system. It is still sitting where it was struck. Moving it will be his next challenge.
Well, now here in Minnesota, we might expect snow in March, maybe even a snowstorm. But thunder and lightning? Well, an Edina couple went shopping for a new home today and found out the hard way that Minnesota's weather can't be taken for granted. Carolyn Mungo joins us now from the newsroom with an unusual story involving this unseasonable weather.
Oh, that's right, Rick. Doctors who treated an Edina man today say they could hardly believe the call when it came in, a lightning strike in the middle of a snowstorm. It is rare, but it does happen. And the fact that the ground is completely saturated only increased its conductivity.
And we were saying thanks for stopping. And it was just this this bright flash, the loud bang, and she was back in the house. I mean,
Audrey Johnson was saying goodbye to potential home buyers this afternoon when she heard that sound. Despite the fact it was snowing and there had been hail, she knew lightning had struck.
Because it was so loud, and having had it hit my driveway, having had it hit my house, there's just a sound, you know.
She was right. Just down the road, 48-year-old Mark Waterston had stepped outside his Jeep Cherokee to look at a piece of property when lightning struck his car, then headed straight for him.
That initially got knocked off of his feet. His shoes got blown off. His shoes got charred, as well as his socks getting charred. There's some burns on the socks.
After being rushed to the emergency room at Fairview Southdale, Waterston learned his winter clothing may have saved his life. But it was likely the cell phone in his pocket that caused the splash. Far cry from what he thought had happened.
As he woke up, that was his first impression that he had been shot because of the very loud noise that he heard. And also there was the smell of he said it smelled like burnt gunpowder, which of course was the cotton socks were burning inside his shoes.
Waterston will be staying overnight at the hospital, but only for observation. Despite some small burns, he is doing amazingly well. We understand he intends to keep those singed socks as a souvenir.
Well, what kind of freaky story is that, huh?
Amazing.